Headline news most affecting Abbotsford this week. Abbotsford Mayor Ross Siemens has passed his first 100 days in office. Abbey Television sat down with him for an interview. Two Abbey teenagers busted by Vancouver police for a vicious late night assault. The snowpack is below normal. Does that predict a drought? And Abbotsford golfers taking center stage on the course in Phoenix. Josh will have more in sports. Our special guest this week is Abbotsford Mayor Ross Siemens. And we'll also have a portion of the BC Premier David Eby's announcement from last week and talking about flood mitigation. All right, Abbotsford, let's get started. Abbotsford Mayor Ross Siemens has now had his first 100 days in office in the mayor's chair, and abbyTV sat down in conversation with his worship about that learning curve and what are the immediate challenges for the city. That interview is coming up in just a few minutes' time. BC River Forecast Center releasing their February 23 report card and state that the South Coast and the Lower Fraser snowpacks are both lower than normal, so this has raised concerns for a potential drought. Last summer, the Fraser Valley experienced drought conditions from August to October. Now, this February summary noting that the Fraser River Snow Basin Index is only about 75% normal, so there remains the potential of more snow coming in the next few weeks, but with a drier forecast, that could be a problem. With 2 or more months left for snow accumulation, the snowpacks could still change. Now, on top of all these other concerns, the other factor is La Nina is turning into a full-blown El Nino. That could further enhance a warm, dry spring and summer. Premier David Eby, along with the minister responsible for emergency management and climate readiness, Bowen Ma, were in Chilliwack last week to announce that the province was going to invest $5 million in rip-rap erosion control measures for shoreline stabilization. That will ensure protection for businesses, people, and infrastructure. Now, this work also allows the new $45 million dike project announced in 2019 to move forward. Now, while this is going to help Squaw and Shwe First Nations and the city of Chilliwack, Premier Eby couldn't say if any other area was going to get help, specifically the Abbotsford and Mission Gauge area, as well as Hope. Engineering designs for the Chilliwack Shoreline Project will begin in 2024. abbyTV was at David Eby's announcement. We'll have that clip a little later on. Vancouver police investigation has led to criminal charges against 3 teens who allegedly assaulted a Vancouver Island man during an unprovoked attack in Vancouver last weekend. The 29-year-old was visiting and on February the 4th was assaulted by a group of strangers. He suffered serious injuries that required medical attention. A 15-year-old and a 17-year-old from Abbotsford and an 18-year-old from Langley have been charged with assault causing bodily harm. Now, with the 2 from Abbotsford, due to their age, their names cannot be broadcast or published.
Today we're announcing a $5 million investment in dike works here along the Fraser River. And this particular investment is for something called riprap, which is essentially a layer of stone that will protect the riverbank from erosion and allow a new dike project to proceed here. This work will help protect Shwe Village, Squaw First Nation, and the city of Chilliwack from flooding. This builds on an announcement that Minister Ma made just a week ago of $23.4 million to support communities across the province in doing planning work and prevention work around climate change, including for Chilliwack, an investment around planning and design of a new drainage pump station to respond to and prevent flooding. This announcement today of $5 million will protect people. My thanks to the federal government and the city of Chilliwack for their investments in this new dike project. We are glad to join you in partnership on this. And my thanks as well to the people of Shwe Village and Squaw First Nation for their important contributions to this project as well. This is another example and another step in our continuing work to partner with Indigenous people as true partners and leaders in emergency management and response.
The 2023 Early Bird RV Show and Sale is this weekend at TradeX in Abbotsford. It's your chance to get a look at what camping and glamping has for you. And RV enthusiasts will gather to explore the latest and the greatest RVs and the accessories in the market. Lightweight and economical RVs are expected to be the huge draw this year, as well as some of the most advanced and luxurious recreational vehicles that are on the market. Sponsored by Abbotsford's Cyrus Center Ministries, the coldest night of the year is a family-friendly walk to raise money for local charities serving people experiencing hurt, hunger, and homelessness. Now, the Abbotsford event is February the 25th, and that has now become a virtual walk. Cyrus Center has run into permit problems with the city of Abbotsford, so donations can be made online through the website for coldest night of the year, Abbotsford. As reported by the Abbotsford News, almost every school day, hundreds of Abbotsford school students are being left without planned bus pickups. The issue came to light after two different families spoke publicly at the Abbotsford School Board of Education, one in December and another meeting in January. And this past week, the board is going to hear a report, or rather this coming week, the board is going to hear a report from district staff on what's been happening, why it's happening, how long it's been a problem, and how it's going to be addressed. As staff noted at a previous board meeting, the issue simply comes down to a lack of drivers along with significant sick leave. There's also been an increase in the number of drivers on long-term absences, and that's all in the new report. And still with transit, and this time BC Transit, abbyTV has learned that there really has not been any movement with bus drivers in their dispute, which affects Central Valley Transit in Abbotsford and Mission, as well as Chilliwack Transit. Wages are the main issue. Currently, drivers are not collecting fares, and if this dispute continues to the end of the month, there could be a 2-day service disruption. Although drivers are reluctant to shut down Handy Dart, they have said they won't do it, at least not now. And ironically, BC Transit was just named one of the top employers in the province going into 2023. Coming up in sports with Josh, Abbotsford golfers highlighting a desert classic. News of the week continues with our conversation with the mayor of Abbotsford, and that's Ross Siemens. And welcome to abbyTV, as well as our sister station Chill TV. You've gone through your first 100 days. What have you learned, and what were the surprises?
It's been very good. We've got a great team and a great council. We've started our strategic planning session right from the start. We've worked together with the senior leadership team to come up with some strategic plans. It is a lot of work. I can't imagine doing this job without having had some council experience. But we've got a dynamic city, and it's a lot of moving pieces. So we hit the ground running though. And
was there an advantage? I'm assuming that there was some type of a transition conversation with previous Mayor Henry Braun. Any words of wisdom? There's the running joke with the presidency in the States that they always, one president outgoing leaves a little letter saying, this is what to look for, what not to look for. Did you get any words of wisdom from the mayor?
Yeah, lots of words of wisdom. He's a very principled person that I worked well with. Mm-hmm. So lots of encouragement and he had a very calm, respectful relationship with the senior leadership team, and he gave good direction. And so he gave me some pointers, and again, like, be yourself, be authentic, and be straightforward as possible. And there's going to be lots of moving parts, but just stay calm and carry on.
The strategic plan, the first thing a lot of people are going to think about is, what do you do with flood? But obviously, you have a city of almost 200,000 to run. What are the big things that you're looking at that are going to be, I wouldn't say major obstacles, but they're definitely going to be the challenges over the next 3 to 5 years?
We try and be up at the 30,000 foot level and saying, how does this all work? We know we're a growing city. We want to continue with our smart growth from our official community plan, which densifies from the core out. Building a better transit system, building different housing options, and then the other issue, of course, is the jobs that go with that to keep people employed. We have everything from aggregates to agriculture, agriculture capital of Canada, and then we've got the aerospace and everything in between, the whole supply chain. So just making sure that we have a clear understanding of how the economy also works and our role in it, and just making sure that we have good, respectful relations with senior levels of government, because a lot of what we do requires funding, and we get 8 cents of the tax dollar is local, and yet we have a huge responsibility. So just making sure that we keep our eye on the things that we actually have control on, and then how do we engage with senior levels of government to assist us.
Leading up to, and then it literally stopped when we had COVID, and then the atmospheric river. But there was this push, Abbotsford 200K, and economic development was really pushing hard. It seems to have just dropped off the face of the earth. Is that coming back, or I just don't see it publicized as much as it once was? And that was a big promotion.
Yeah, that was actually our official community plan. So Abbott's Forward and the plan for 200K. So that was our strategic plan, our official community plan, and then our master plans. So those are all in place. So that is still very much at play. So how we grow to 200,000, that is still very much very embedded in. So we don't necessarily talk about the 200K plan. That is embedded in everything from our official community plan to master plans.
Yeah. Has the population slowed down because of COVID, or have you noticed anything, or is there a pickup?
I think we're one of the fastest growing, we are one of the fastest growing communities. I think it's an 8.5% increase over the last census. So it hasn't slowed. We haven't seen that slow down at all. So we're on the move.
Dealing with various levels of government, we would be remiss when talking about the Nooksack and what happened, of course, with Mayor Braun having to deal with it. Anything new on that front, or is that you've got to leave that to the federal governments to kind of hammer out, and you find out when you find out?
No, we're very much engaged. We had an update just the other day from the provincial representative that the Premier Eby has put in place. So we, again, are advocating that the Nooksack Sumas issue be elevated to the degree that the Skagit and the Columbia, which are some local rivers. There's others like the Red River, but we want it elevated to that level, because that is how important that is to our provincial economy, our national economy, even international trade. So there's from the American side, it is kind of the northern Whatcom County is the least populated area of the county. But articulating the fact that we've got an important international component that is, and may not even affects the U.S. economy if we have some of those borders and all closed because of flooding events. So I think that there is a real recognition of that at the provincial level especially, and the federal government has indicated that they're very much leaning in on this. So we're staying part of that. Of course, we don't lead it, but we can still advocate and push hard, so we are.
On the provincial side, just last week, David Eby, the Premier, was in Chilliwack with a major announcement when it came to riprap and flood mitigation. And I asked him point blank, is there anything for Abbotsford coming down the pipe, or Mission Gauge and such? He didn't really give us an answer. Are there any hot spots that you're concerned about? Because it does, well, knock on wood, we may not have a serious freshet this year, but are there any hot spots on the Abbotsford side that you'd like to go, we could use about $5 million here as well?
No, we already have funding in place. We have continued with our First Nations consultations, and there is a memorandum of understanding that is on the Fraser side. And so those, I think we are going to be starting work on those. And we've, so we're advocating, and again, obviously there's going to be some cost increases because of inflationary pressures. So we'll be advocating for them to continue that work. Those announcements were done by, previous, but that work will continue. So that stream of funding was actually a different stream than what we were going to be going for some bigger fish. So yeah, those issues were more regional district and some First Nations, smaller issues that obviously are important.
Yeah.
The bigger issues, yeah, we are continuing those talks and advocacy.
With just the growth of Abbotsford, and just recently you were talking about adding parks. With the growth, is there room in Abbotsford? There's only you're dealing with the Fraser River on one side. You have First Nations. You're dealing with ALR. Is there room enough for Abbotsford to literally breathe and grow? It's a great idea to throw in more parks, but can you do it?
Yes, I believe so. Again, some of the topography that we have, there's ravines and trails. So in the urban core, that's why we've decided that we've really focused on densifying from the core out. Yeah. And then with those ravines and trail networks in the urban area, we have an urban forest strategy. Mm-hmm. We do realize we're going to have some challenges with the tree canopy as we grow, and we have a plan to connect those neighborhoods through trails and green spaces. So yeah, the topography allows us to that luxury to do some of those things. Mm-hmm. So we're very mindful of that, and how that plays out. We'll be unrolling that a little bit more as we go forward.
I would be remiss without bringing up, and every community has that sore thumb, but crime, gang activity, it seems to have quietened down a little bit in Abbotsford. Are you getting more federal assistance, provincial assistance? Unlike, say, Chilliwack, which has RCMP, you have your own force. Do you feel you're well equipped to handle anything that's coming at you?
Yeah, well, I'm very proud of the abbyPD. And Chief Sear and his team have really worked hard at making Abbotsford the safest city in the province. And I think our stats will show this year that we are the safest city in the Lower Mainland. So yeah, I mean, gang activity and those issues are always a pot that's on simmer. We have invested a lot of time and effort with local stakeholders to try and mitigate some of those issues and deal with some of those issues, and I think we've done a really good job. But it's something we always have to be vigilant on. So yeah, I think we're very proud that Abbotsford is the safest city in the Lower Mainland right now.
Mayor Ross Siemens, thank you so much. You're always welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank
You're
you very
watching
much.
News of the Week.
How's it going, everyone? Josh here, back with you with sports. That's what we do here. So let's just jump into it. It's not nice enough to golf here in BC yet, but the PGA Tour is in full swing, and a pair of Abbotsford golfers finished in the top 10 at last weekend's Waste Management Phoenix Open. Ledgeview Golf Club products Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin finished second and tied for 10th respectively at the event. Taylor was in contention very late in the tournament and ended up just 2 shots behind eventual winner and former Masters champion Scottie Scheffler. But Taylor shot a combined 17 under over the course of the 4 rounds and earned a cool $2.18 million for 4 days of work. Not a bad take. Taylor has actually had a really strong start to 2023 and also finished tied for 7th at the Sony Open in Hawaii back in January and tied for 20th at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am earlier in February. As a result, Taylor's world ranking has now jumped to 73rd after this weekend. UFE Cascades women's basketball are gearing up for their first round Canada West playoff matchup against the UMBC Timberwolves on Friday in Edmonton. The winner of that game will move on to face the University of Alberta Pandas the following afternoon. Now on the men's side, the Cascades will open their postseason schedule with a contest against the Brandon Bobcats Friday in Winnipeg at 3 p.m., with the winner of that matchup moving on to face the Winnipeg Westmen the following afternoon. Cultus Lake skier Reese Howden is back on the slopes for another FIS ski cross race. He will be in Austria today and tomorrow, 16th and 17th. And while his last race was a win in Sweden, he'll be looking to, maintain the streak this week. CBC has those races in their overnight coverage if you want to check it out live. A pair of Abbotsford High School students are heading to cheerleading's biggest event. Yale Secondary's Eden Baldwin and Robert Bateman Secondary School's Mary Webster, both grade 9 students, have been chosen to represent Canada at the 2023 ICU World Cheer Championships in Orlando, Florida, on April 19th to the 21st. The ICU comprises of 117 member national cheer federations and 10 million athletes, and they host world championships across the country that consistently, across the world, that consistently welcome over 70 nations, and it's just an unbelievable tournament. I know I have friends who actually work at Disney World. They say when the cheer teams come, it's complete chaos. So good luck to Eden and Mary. Hopefully you can focus in Orlando on the competition and not get distracted. Moving on to some hockey now, as the Yale Hockey Academy has served as an Abbotsford School District program since the early 2000s. However, as of 2022, the Sports Academy program in Abbotsford was the only remaining high school hockey academy in the province to be operated exclusively by the school district. The operation of the Sports Academy within the boundaries of the existing school board policy and the School Act became increasingly difficult for them to manage. But as of last week, the Abbotsford Board of Education announced that it has entered into an agreement with the Yale Hockey Development Group that will see the academy transitioning into an independent entity, and thus will continue to run a hockey academy program in the school district beginning in July 2023. They spent most of last year discussing in the school board how they could make this happen, so it's super exciting that this amazing program is going to continue well into the future. All right, that's all we've got for sports today. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we're going to go now to Cari with the weather.
abbyTV weekend weather. It's a long weekend, Cari. We've had our week of sun, so of course, long weekend, family day, and rain.
Thanks, Don. Yes, it is going to be a pretty yucky weekend for the long weekend coming up. A lot of rain. You're going to have to find things to do with your kids inside. And then following that, we're going to have highs of only up to like -2, all the way down to -9, -11. Chance of snow, so don't put away those snow shovels yet. Winter's not over. Back to you, Don.
Thanks, Cari. If you'd like to participate in reporting news in Abbotsford and you have a story you think we should know about, you can always send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. We'd love to hear from you. We'd like to see your videos and pictures as well. That's the news this week. Have a great long weekend. I'm Don Lehn.